Hello friends, this is Coolchessgm and we have to continue the Closed Sicilian and I have another line today, so let's see in it. So c5, Nc3 Nc6, g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, bc, b6, bishop b3 and rook b8. So the rook is defending the b pawn so that it will be helpful for black to push the b pawn. The success of lines starting with bishop b3 has prompted leading players to look in the archives for the alternatives. Rook b8 is another way of doing something positive while delaying the development of the king's knight. And thus avoiding bishop e6. When the knight is placed on g8, our plan queen d2 and bishop h6 will be slightly delayed for 2 or 3 moves. The idea of preparing b5 was favored by the former world champion Fischer, so it comes with a good pedigree. I have chosen to concentrate on the key move Nc3 which has been employed successfully at the highest level and provides white with a clear middle game plan of castling kingside and exchanging the dark square bishops. We will see some games, and so this game played by Adams versus Sachs in German Team Championship 1997. So the game continued with queen d2. So when we play bishop e3, so the idea of playing bishop e3 is to extend the dark square bishop, so we should not be delaying it and play queen d2. And when knight moves to f6, we can try for bishop h6. So here queen d2, b5. So this is first, as rook b8 was played for that, and if black didn't play b5, then rook b8 does not have any meaning at all. So b5 and Nc3. And here Adams has given this move his seal of approval, an indication that it is worth investigating. So Nc3, and if now b4, then I think black is not having any weaknesses out there, and it's difficult for them to attack on the queen side and distract the pieces. So b4 is not good here. Black played nd4. So we can do castles here. So king safety is important. b4, nd1. We should not be going to nd5, as when nd5 goes, then black will be kicking out the knight with e6 and then f4. Okay, the knight on c3 goes to f4, but in my rule, when knight goes front, it should not come back unnecessarily. So maybe nd5 is not a good move. nd1 is the choice. Here black played queen c7. I think this is slightly dubious move. As before, white has revealed his setup, it is a bit early to commit the queen to c7. And now Adams played Nc1. So this is another plan in Closed Sicilian, as Nc1 helps in preventing the exchange of knights, which is not good for white, as he needs attacking pieces so that he can attack the king. And at at first sight, not an obvious move, but one which is often played in the closed, as it prevents an exchange of knights. White wants to force the knight back to c6 by c3, after which it will cramp black's position. So Nc1 is a good plan here, as we have to kick out the knight on d4, as it causes some disturbance for the white. So we cannot be taking it with by knight, because when knight takes d4 and c takes d4, our bishop cannot go anywhere and it will be trapped. So okay, no problem. If the bishop is not trapping also, for example, our knight is not having any place, it should be going with f4, knight f2, like that. But after that, there is a c2 weakness, and black will be having a easy play after bishop a6 and rook c8, attacking on the queen side, and it's tough time for white. So we cannot be taking it, and he will here the knight is really disturbing, and we are white's pieces are tied up. So Nc1 is a good move, with threat of kicking away the knight by c3. Black Sachs played nf6. It's interesting move. Okay, he knows that his knight gonna be kicked. So his knight gonna be kicked with c3, but also he did not do anything and plays nf6. Okay, so c3. bc3, bc3, knight c6, and bishop at 6. At last we have gained what we want, as we won the exchange of the dark squared bishop, and we got it. Castles, bishop takes, king takes, and Nc3. So now white's having the idea of playing f4 and f5. So there is no problem in white's position now, and black should be careful now, as his pieces are not well placed, I guess, and this f6 knight should be is tied down, as nd5 square is weak, and white's threat is to play ne2 and d4 break in future. So black has to be careful, and black played e5. Okay, he has just now the d5 square is obviously very weak, as the knight is being tied up. Maybe in this position a6 would have been better, or bishop a6. After bishop f6, f4, queen b6. So now black has to attack. Black has to take counter. So queen b6 and rook f2. So as we play king h1 here, then black will be getting his counter play with queen d2. Queen b2. So it's again forced to exchange, and rook takes b2. Now our knight is now c1 knight is not well placed, as it cannot be moving to nb3, as this d3 pawn is weak, and so I just plan. I'm not saying that it's clear plus for black. c5 comes. Okay, so rook f2 and e6. Now the nd5 square has been stopped, has been prevented. So nb3 is forced now, and nd7. f5. White has some decent attacking chances as his pieces are okay, are well placed, but white pieces are also okay, so we cannot compromise here. White and black, two of them are better, good, but Sachs played e5 here, and we have to continue our plan by f4. So ne7 and ne2 here. So as I said, as d4 e5 is committed, we cannot be playing d4 now, as when d4 is committed, then the whole position will be opened, and there can be some chances for black to get initiative, I mean by exchanging queens or any pieces. Okay, so now ne2 and bb7. Obviously we cannot be playing d4 here, as e4 pawn falls, and bb7, so g4, as our knights are well placed and bishop is supporting the e4 pawn. It will be improved after f5 or f5 or after the h4, breaking up the king side. It will be improving for sure. So now g4, the time is right to go on to the offensive. So it is tempting to go on the sacrifice with fe5, d5, rook f6, but that after king f6, ng4, king g7 cannot be played, as queen h6 and nf6 will lead to the checkmate, and king a6 is forced, and d4 here. So with the threat of capturing the pawn and playing bishop s3 check, but now as f6 leaves the white attack floundering, so we cannot be going for direct initiative or attack, as all our pieces are not developed yet, and as I said, all pieces should be developed before going for attack, as they can also coordinate with each other and give us a better attacking play. So g4 and Sachs played h6 here, and h4. So the rolling of pawns has started. We cannot wait here, as we have committed all the pawns, and so now with the threat of f5 and g5, white is really better here. h4, e takes f4, and rook takes f4. Yeah, now you may be wondering why knight didn't take the pawn, but here, as the f file is opened, the f file is open, rook can only take the possible methods to get to the king, to expose it. So we cannot be having one move delay with nf4. Anyway, we have to double the rooks on the f file and move the knight, so it will cost you one move extra. In that they may improve with queen d7 and play desperately, so that our pieces will be going for attack, I mean for defense. So nf4 is not good here. Rook f4 with the idea of doubling the rooks and playing ng3, queen f2. That's a good idea, so that these knights will be binded up, and it's easy for white to get into the attack. 4 and ne g8, as I said, and rook f1, the rooks are doubled, and queen e7, ng3, bishop c8, so queen f2. Now actually this is a dream position for the closed Sicilian player, who is now poised for a kingside attack. White has removed a key defender by exchanging the dark square bishop, transferred all his pieces to the king side, doubled rooks on the f file and advanced his king pawns. So that is the main plan of the Closed Sicilian. But this is difficult for white to arrive at this position. So now as Sachs played bishop e6, he don't want him to play white to play nd5 and get the center and okay. So bishop e6, and now so I give you 10 seconds now. You guys find a move. It's just a simple one, okay, and your 10 seconds starts now. Okay, it's finished, and so white played g5 here. As I said, all pieces are good except the bishop, but it's just it's helping us to play nd5 in near future. So there is no problem with that, and as our we are having 1 2 3 and 4 5 pieces for the attack, and they are having just 4 pieces to defend the king. Then we should go for mate. So as g5 is being played, the idea is to kick the defender, which is the best defender of the king. And now let's see what happens. H takes g5, h takes g5, and n7. So now as pawn is committed, then we have to go with that, and any f5, a fitting finale to a great demonstration of power play. The relentless pressure has paid off with a culminating knight sacrifice, wrecking black's defense. So as gf5 is being played, if bishop takes knight, then it gives white another chance to demonstrate a brilliant attack after ef5, queen takes g5, in e4, harassing the queen, as queen should not come out when minor pieces are there on the board. So in e4, queen d8, f6, check, king h8, and rook h4. When there is a major threat of mating by ng5 check and queen h4, the threat of playing a rook h7 check, and then ng5 with the threat of queen h4 mate. So bishop f5 cannot be played here, so gf5 is forced again, and ef5 with the threat of getting the queen with f6 check. So ef5 and again queen g5, ne4, harassing the queen, queen d8, fe6, and queen g3. So this 1-0. So in this game, white played nc1. I think this is a good move here. This is a good move here, so white should not be allow the exchange of the knights, and so nc1 prevents it. And now white's threat is to play c3 and kick away the knight, and black's mistake is to play queen c7. As black is committed on the queen side, then he should be playing with the pawn commitment. So queen c7 is not a good move. I think queen c7 is just a waiting move here, I guess. So black's first mistake was queen c7, and white's good move was nc1 with the threat of c3. Okay, let's see another game. Okay, here we are, and in practical experiences, a lot of players with the black pieces try e6 here and eventually transpose back into main lines. However, d4 is a good way to try and profit from black's casual play. So let me tell the idea of e6 first. Black often pushes this pawn, still thwarting the plan bishop h6 and leaving white wondering how to transpose into other lines. So e6 basically does not have any major idea. So here d4, I think it makes sense to play this move in order to gain space, and after exchanges on d4, white can target the d6 pawn, which is no longer supported by a pawn. So here as d4, b4 is natural, and in d1 forced. This game was played between Klinger versus Skumi in Zurich 1993, and nd1 cd4, nd4 in ge7. Yeah. Now as the knight on g8 has been moved to g7, to e7, so white's plan is to play bishop h6 and exchanging the dark squared bishop, but now this is not possible now as the knight is hanging. So white has to play knight takes c6. So you have to remember that when the knight on g8 gets away from the g8, gets away from its original square, then white has to target for bishop h6 and exchange of the dark squared bishop. So as in closed Sicilian, it is the main defender for the king, and we have to remove it by bishop h6, so don't forget it. And ng7, so now knight takes c6 and knight takes c6, so castles now, and queen c7, bishop h6, so bishop h6 is the theme for this line. It also makes it easier for white to find a middle game plan. And castles, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, ne3. So the knights are developed, and now plan is to play f4 and f5. So Klinger's plan now is to put pressure on the d6 pawn by adding a rook to the semi-open d file, and to contemplate attacking the dark squares around the black king, which are more vulnerable now that the g7 bishop has been exchanged. So as bishop a6 has been played, we can play rook f d1 instead of rook a d1, and rook f d8, so c3, as we have to get the space, and now we are in a space mode. Then we can play c3 here, so there is no problem in that, as if black played b takes c3, then queen takes c3, and king g8, then maybe we can go for rook a c1. Yeah, and if rook c8, then ng4, and you are getting a good position. So bc3 cannot be played, and black played king g8. Now cb4 and nb4, as rook b4 cannot be played because of rook ac1 pinning the knight and getting the rook, or with if rook b4 is played, then rook c1, so pinning the knight and threat of getting the rook. So nb4 is first and ng4. So it now becomes a lot clearer why white is always intent on eliminating the bishop on g7. Its absence is critical because the knight threatens to invade on f6 and h6. Queen e7, black is stopping the invasion of the knight, so there is no problem in that, and a3 and d3 and queen c3. With that of playing nh6 and queen h8 mate, so ne5. Black blocks the a1 h8 diagonal, but thereby loses material. The alternatives are not welcoming because as after h5, nf6 check, king f8 and nd5 is a knockout blow, and also e5 here is not suitable because of rook takes b3 and bishop takes g3, queen takes g3, rook takes b2, queen c3, and it's good for white. ne5 is forced here. So knight takes c5, so white got the pawn, and black played rook b5 here, so rook takes g8, queen takes g8, queen c3, rook b8, h4, h5, b4, queen b6, rook b1, rook c8, queen f6, bishop b5, e5, queen c7, bishop e4, bishop e2, rook d6, bb5, king h2. White has got such a grip on the position, he can take his time to find the breakthrough. And now bishop a4, bishop d3, just repeating the moves, and now here's the final blow. Takes, king h8, rook e6, with the idea of checkmating with queen takes h5 and followed by rook g6. So let's have a quick overview. White will do well to follow white's example in the game Adams vs Sachs. So here, so as nc1 was being played, Adams gives a model example of how to play the attack and shows how straightforward the ng2 system can be. And it pays to look out for move order tricks, and Klinger vs Skumi is an illustration of how white can gain the better chances in the opening. Klinger takes the opportunity to play 9th move d4 and is rewarded with the long-term pressure on d6 pawn. Okay, thank you. So there are more parts going to come soon, so wait for it.